big questions, complicated ideas, and unlimited possibilities.
In a community of learners representing diverse beliefs, opinions, and experiences.
Actively engaged in a caring, supportive, and fun community.
Our education prepares us to be thoughtful, global citizens, serving the common good.
At Fairfield University, you will get an inspiring education.
For an inspired life.
Two of the MAAC's most dominant forces, Iona's Mike Glover and Siena's Ryan Rossiter, square off in quarterfinal number 3 of the 2011 MAAC Championship next. Welcome to the 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships presented by Pepsi Max. In our third quarterfinal, the three-time defending champs from Siena College will take on the Iona Gales. And we take a look at the brackets. 2 of our final 4 are set here at the MAAC Championships. Earlier this afternoon and early evening, St. Peter's defeated Loyola by 10, and then Fairfield, a very workmanlike performance, knocking off Marist 55-31. Those brackets brought to you by New York Life. And welcome, everybody, back to Bridgeport, Connecticut. Doug Sherman along with former Division I assistant coach Rob Kennedy. This matchup here between the Saints and the Gales, they split their regular season ball games. With Iona, they're the hottest team in the league coming in, and with Siena, you really don't know what you're going to get from game to game.
No, you don't. What you got last night is when the game was on the line, their seniors stepped up. Clarence Jackson knocking down threes, and Ryan Rossiter doing what he does, dominating the paint inside when they needed those big buckets late in that overtime win against Manhattan.
Okay, let's take a look at our surprise. It's Bridgeport Star Watch. And first, for the Siena Saints, no surprise that the MAAC Player of the Year, Ryan Rossiter, is in our Star Watch.
Now, no surprise with either of these guys. As you said, 2 of the most dominant players in the MAAC. Ryan Rossiter trying to become the first player since Lionel Simmons to lead the league in both points and rebounds, and the guy right behind him in each of those statistical categories, Mike Glover, a guy who is an absolute load and handful. When he gets deep touches inside the paint, you can't handle him.
His nickname is Optimus Prime. He is something to see. Log on to surpriseitsbridgeport.com to learn all that Bridgeport, Connecticut has to offer. We'll take a break and come back with our starting lineups in the opening tip between the 3-time defending champs from Siena and the Iona Gales next.
Someone, possibly you, pays for the electricity that powers this screen. Would you like to pay less? You have a choice. Spark Energy is here to save you money on electricity. It's the same power over the same lines, but with lower prices. Visit us online at sparkenergy.com/TV, where it's easy to switch and learn how Spark Energy gives back to your community, because we empower what matters.
The 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships are brought to you by Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. Spark Energy, empower what matters. FYE, strictly for your entertainment. Anaconda Sports, home of the Rock, is proud to sponsor the MAAC. And by the 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships. Buy your tickets today on Ticketmaster.com, MAACsports.com, or by calling 1-800-745-3000. The 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships. Every game counts. Let's take a look at the Spark Energy starting lineups here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Scott Machado, among the nation's leaders in assists per game in the backcourt with Rashawn Dwight and Kyle Smythe. And there is Mike Glover inside with Alejo Rodriguez. A couple of seniors looking for a long weekend here in Bridgeport. And for the Saints of Siena, a couple of seniors as well that you really should keep your eye on. Clarence Jackson, healthy once again, coming off a big performance last night. And Ryan Rossiter, the player of the year. Also Odie Anasicki, Owen Wignot. And then the freshman point guard, Rakeem Brookins, for the three-time defending champs. Siena comes in, as you see, with a record of 13-17 overall. Number 7 seed, and not too many folks saw this coming in the preseason, that Siena would fall this far, but still a very, very dangerous team. Time now for our coaching matchup, brought to you by Anaconda Sports, home of the Rock, and there is Mitch Bonaguro in his first season as head coach at Siena after 5 years as an assistant coach at Siena under Fran McCaffrey. And there's Tim Cluse, also in his first season as the head coach of the Iona Gales, 1983 graduate of Hofstra University. And his team, as mentioned, the hottest team in the conference coming in, having won its last 7 of the regular season, 13-5 overall as the number 2 seed. Iona in its home whites, Siena in the traveling green, and we are underway with the Gales in possession of the basketball first.
And opposite of Fairfield, a team built on their defense, this Iona team is built on their offense. Extremely efficient in their offensive sets.
There you go. Get the ball to Glover, and he gets a layup.
Now that's what we said. They get touches inside. He is a handful in the paint.
Owen Wignot knocks down the open look.
Wignot had, arguably, Doug, you and I were here last night, the 3 biggest plays of the game coming down the stretch. Giving up his body, keeping a tip alive to allow them to score at the end of regulation, to get that lead, and then hit the biggest 3 of the ball game in overtime to get them the win.
Yeah, he scored all 5 of Siena's overtime points to beat Manhattan last night, 68-66. And that diving play at late in regulation that you mentioned, Rob, was the biggest play of the game. He was able to save the ball, give up his body, find Clarence Jackson, who laid it in and helped the Saints get to overtime. Owen Wignot is a junior from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. His stats aren't going to blow you away, but he does a lot of different things. He's a terrific athlete and probably the best dunker on the team.
One of the reasons his stats a little down, he's been banged up all season. That's been the case for this entire Siena Saints team. They've never really been whole until coming into this weekend.
Well, Mitch Bonaguro said until this past week, they had not practiced with everybody on the roster in uniform. Let's take a look at our Be Smart, Drive Smart keys to the game.
Well, if you're Siena, you got to ride the big guy. The more touches you get for Ryan Rossiter, the better your offense is going to be. They've got to handle the double. Not only doubling down into the post, but the traps out of the pressure defense from Iona. Iona, they got to rebound the basketball. When they do, they win, and then they've got to be able to make shots, much like we saw Kyle Smythe knock one down there in transition last possession.
Well, if you're trying to defend Iona and you use a zone, you do so with caution.
Yeah, you're right, because they can spread guys that can knock down shots. And Kyle Smythe at 40% from beyond the 3. Same with Rashawn Dwight. And then Jermel Jenkins, a terrific three-point shooter as well.
Well, Iona just has a terrific combination on offense of an excellent point guard in Machado, an excellent finisher inside in Glover, an excellent lunch pail guy who doesn't play out of his realm in Rodriguez, and then a whole bevy of guys, including the other 2 starters and the guys who come off the bench who can knock down threes.
Well, you're right, Doug. It's a great combination. They have really good offensive players and a really good offensive system under Tim Cluse.
And Kyle Smythe says, don't just paint me as a three-point shooter.
Snuck one on him along the baseline. Running the floor and running out to the quick lead. Doug, in their 7-game win streak, this has been their formula for Iona. Get out to those quick runs to start ball games. They've done it once again, forcing a timeout here inside the first 2 minutes.
And that is something also on the flip side that Siena's had a habit of doing this year, falling behind early.
Yep. Even in their win earlier this season against Iona, they fell behind big in that first half. We're able to climb back, get it close at halftime, and then we're able to get the win at home.
Rob, another big difference in the two regular season meetings. In the game Siena won, Ryan Rossiter was allowed to go off for 26 points and 15 rebounds. In the Iona win, he really wasn't that big a part of the offense. Took only 7 shots, still got his double-double, 13 points and 13 boards, but they were doing a much better job at keeping number 22 in check. First points of the night for the MAAC Player of the Year.
Well, if you handle the trap, you get some easy shots at the back end, much like Rossiter did there.
The Gales turn it over. Siena gets it back down 9-6 early.
Iona's done a great job all season long of taking care of the basketball, except for the last couple of ball games. Turned it over against St. Peter's, despite the fact that they played so well and blew out St. Peter's on the road, and then also turned it over last time out against Fairfield.
Find Anasicki on the post, but Glover does a nice job defensively. Rossiter from 18.
Well, trying to draw the big guy, Alejo Rodriguez, one of the better post defenders on this Iona team, out to the perimeter.
Here, the two top scorers and rebounders in the league going head-to-head, and it's number 2 in the stats who gets over on number 1 right there, Mike Glover.
Yeah, but number 1, jersey-wise, Glover, he's got some energy here. First 2 times he caught the ball, bang, he's attacking the rim. Quick off his feet.
Glover is 6'7", 215 in his first season of Division I basketball, but he has had a long journey to get here, and he is a young man in body and in the style of play. He went for 39 in a game against Canisius early in the year, has it stripped out of bounds, and it's Siena basketball.
Oh, he talked about the fact we've got the leading scorer and rebounder, number 1 and number 2. Rossiter stretches the defense off. Rossiter defensively trying to handle Glover inside, but he gets himself a paint touch too deep. When he catches it that deep, he is just impossible to guard.
And it looks like Ryan Rossiter is going to do something that no MAAC player has done since Lionel Simmons at LaSalle. That is lead the league in the same year in both scoring and rebounding. And who knows how many more games Siena has left in its season, but Rossiter's got such a big enough lead that in both scoring and rebound, it looks like he's going to hold on and win both of those crowns. Machado on the board.
I'll tell you what, Doug, he has been stroking the ball really well coming down the stretch of the season.
Clarence Jackson, who got off to such a fast start in last night's opening round game, misfires on his first attempt tonight. Machado tries to drop it off. Brookins all over him. It's Machado who dives, and it's Iona who comes up with the ball.
Great hustle by Machado.
Glover fouled by Wignall. Well, Rob, you mentioned about the fact that Iona does a nice job of getting good looks and shooting at a high rate. So far, that's been the formula tonight, a perfect 5 for 5. And Scott Machado, if he's not dishing, he's swishing. He's doing everything for the Iona Gales, knocking down the 3 for the early 6-point Iona lead.
This aisle isn't big enough for 2 zeros.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Is that all you got?
I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these. Pepsi Max, too much taste to be called a 0.
On Blu-ray and DVD.
Join yourself down. It's the name of love. Barry.
Oh, God.
God can't hear you, Barry.
Oh, too.
There are 2 things in this world. Sexy sex and boring death. I want to grow a beard.
On January 4th.
I had no idea. This was a dinner for extraordinary people.
Find out who's the biggest schmuck.
Your guy is amazing.
When you own Dinner for Schmucks.
Mamma mia, papa pia. Baby got the diarrhea. Hey, Tim.
In stores now. On Blu-ray and DVD.
Welcome back to the Spark Energy MAAC Championships presented by Pepsi Max. Our third men's quarterfinal has Iona off to an early start. They've been very efficient, and there's the combination that is the most efficient. Mike Glover and Scott Machado, 2 of 4 MAAC players among the NCAA leaders in their respective statistical categories, and we've got 3 of those 4 in this ball game here tonight. Ryan Rossiter about a rebound behind Kenneth Freed of Morehead State, who plays his conference championship game, tipping off in just a few minutes. And it looks like Rossiter probably won't be able to catch him for the National League, but it looks like Rossiter will hold on for the MAAC rebounding title this year and do the double, lead the league in scoring and rebounding.
He's got a chance with 9 rebounds in tonight's game to set the all-time single-season record inside of the MAAC as far as rebounding goes. His pursuit of the basketball is really something.
We're here in Bridgeport, Connecticut, the third of our 4 quarterfinals from the MAAC Championships. Along with Rob Kennedy and Joe Boylan, this is Doug Sherman. Siena and Iona playing for the right to move on to the semifinals, where they will meet the winner of our nightcap still to come. Third-seeded Ryder and sixth-seeded Canisius, scheduled to tip off at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. The other 2 winners already, St. Peter's, which knocked out Loyola, and Fairfield, which defeated Marist. Clarence Jackson has played through a couple of ankle injuries this season, but he went for 24 points in last night's opening round victory over Manhattan, an overtime win for the Saints. And the Siena Saints desperately need his offense.
Yeah, got off to such a quick start last night, knocking down those quick threes.
Anasicki dropped it off. Rossiter for 2.
Oh, nice job inside. Anasicki, who was quiet last night, starting off with good energy here tonight.
Oh, by the way, Ryan Rossiter had another double-double last night, his 25th of the year, 17 points, 14 rebounds against the Jaspers. Machado seemed to lose his balance just a bit.
He was looking for a foul. Looked like there may have been some contact on the reach-in.
Wignott with a strong finish.
Running the floor. Both these teams like to get up and down. When we've showed these brackets, it's basically, Doug, we got a defensive side of the bracket and an offensive side of the bracket. So the way things played out. You got 4 of the better offensive teams in this bracket.
Now Iona, one of the offensive powers in the league, having won 7 straight ball games coming into the postseason. Machado off the mark, and there's Wignott playing with energy again here tonight. Jackson alone for 3.
And that's where he gets so many of his threes, when you get a little dribble penetration or when they get out on the break. There's always Ronald Moore running the ball up the floor. Jackson spotting up and knocking down threes. Brookins does a good job that time of finding Jackson in transition.
A 7-0 Siena run has brought the Saints into a 15-all tie. Clarence Jackson was a preseason first-team All-MAAC. He still averaged 14 per game this year, but the injuries kept him off the court for so much of the time that he was unable to reach the statistical numbers that you would expect from him, but he is still dangerous, still able to go for 25 on any given night.
Absolutely, and before he got injured was averaging 17 a game, and remember, he was coming off the injury in the preseason and really never got himself in a situation where he was able to get practice time. And when you look at how this team has, in quote, underachieved because people picked them to finish second in the preseason, well, they just have never been whole. Not just during games, they haven't been able to practice as a unit with a new coach and trying to replace, and it's impossible to replace Edwin Ublis, Alex Franklin, and Ronald Moore in your first year if you're Mitch Bonagor, but just trying to get a little bit of different coaching style and play. Not having everybody available right from the start to practice really has put them in a tough spot.
There you see Siena on the 7-0 run. And Rob, you talked about the fact that even though Mitch Bonaguro was the top assistant coach for Fran McCaffrey the last 5 years, and he still runs some of the same things, it still is a new voice. And I mean, it's not necessarily as easy a transition as you might think.
Absolutely. And you need everybody on the floor together. And Jackson, one of those senior leaders, you really missed his practice time early to just kind of get you all set and ready to go.
On the jump ball. Nice job by Brookins to poke it away from Machado.
Look
Siena
how strong.
has the possession arrow in its favor.
Look how strong he is, though. Even when they strip the basketball, Machado, we talk about Needham. These two guys have a similar build and play a similar style. Really strong with the basketball.
Yeah, Machado's got him by a couple of inches, 6'1" to 5'11", but they are built very similarly, like to say. Now there's a big story. Siena has yet to turn the ball over in 6.5 minutes. Iona, on the flip side, is terrific at taking care of the ball. At 12.7 turnovers per game, that is the best in school history since they've been keeping track of turnovers back in 1980.
And that's the key stat for this ball game. When Siena won, they turned it over just 7 times. In their loss down at Iona, they turned it over 18 times. And last night, they threw it around. One of the reasons why Barry Rorson's Manhattan team was able to hang around for as long as they did was because Siena was throwing it into the stands at times.
Shot clock at 13. Rossiter with 5 to shoot, trying to work on Glover. Brookins doesn't realize, now he fires away. Alejo Rodriguez, the rebound, but another Iona turnover. Don't miss out on all the excitement. It is not too late to get your tickets for the Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships now through Monday here at Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Get your tickets now by logging on to MAACsports.com, calling 1-800-745-3000, or here at the Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard box office. The 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships. Every game counts. Jonathan Breeden into the ball game at the point for Siena. Trinity Burdine is also checked in for the Saints. Rossiter with 10 to shoot, goes around Rodriguez, but he can't get the roll. Rodriguez recovers for the rebound.
That's where on the runner, put it against the glass, give it a chance.
Double team on Glover. He tries to fight away from it, and he's calling for steps.
That's a terrific double team. Anasicki holding his ground, and then Rossiter coming over to close down on Glover quickly.
Well, they're the turnover numbers. The Gales already well on their way to surpassing their very good total per game on the season.
As we said, last 2 regular season games they threw it around. Didn't hurt them. They were able to win on the road easily against St. Peter's and then close out the regular season with the win against Fairfield. So they've got to start taking care of the basketball like they did throughout most of the season.
Well, those turnovers have undermined the offense. Scoreless the last 4 minutes. Davis Martins is checked in, reserve forward for Siena. Rossiter able to knock down that 18-foot jumper.
I wasn't thinking about taking it. All of a sudden realized nobody was guarding him. Pelcher late to get out and challenge. Rossiter knocks down his second 15-footer.
And Rob, the Saints have their first lead of the night at 17-15. It's a 9-0 Siena run. Machado feathers the pass to Glover. And a foul on the shot.
Got himself into the lane against the matchup zone. Bounce pass. Gets it to the big guy.
We've got a media timeout here in Bridgeport, Connecticut, so we'll step away from the MAAC championship. The MAAC Player of the Year, Ryan Rossiter, already has 9 points, and he's got his Saints on top by 2.
I could smell smoke, and I could taste blood, and I could hear my wife screaming, "Katie's dead. Katie's dead."
Every day, I live knowing that she's never coming back.
Our lives were destroyed by the drunk who killed our daughter. We have to live every day with the weight of that crash.
How will I live without Kate?
Could you live with yourself if you murdered my daughter?
Anaconda Sports, your sports authority, proudly supporting local high school athletes throughout the region. We want to thank all the teams and coaches that have made Anaconda the #1 dealer in the Northeast. Football, baseball, basketball, soccer, whatever your sport, Anaconda has what you're looking for. From the latest gear and team uniforms to logo shirts and hats for your company. Make Anaconda your connection.
Hey, if you want to go for sports equipment, go to Anaconda Sports. It's awesome, baby.
Outback Steakhouse and the MAAC would like to welcome all the security and veterans of the military in our audience tonight. From everyone in Outback Steakhouse and the MAAC, it is an honor serving those who serve us selflessly every day.
We're back in Bridgeport, Connecticut in high definition. The entire MAAC television network's coverage of the Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships available this year in HD. Gives you a better look at that man, Ed Cooley, the head coach of the Fairfield Stags. He is a little more relaxed than the first time we saw him this afternoon, Rob, when he was chomping at the bit to get his Stags on the floor in their quarterfinal game, and they took care of business, knocking off the Marist Red Foxes 55-31. And if you can't make it to Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard to see the Spark Energy MAAC Men's Championship game in person, be sure to watch it live Monday night, 7 Eastern, ESPN2. That's Monday night, 7 Eastern, ESPN2 HD.
And if they guard the way that they guarded against Marist, holding them to just 31 points, certainly Fairfield have a good opportunity to get to the final. Although that game against St. Peter's, one thing's for sure, scoring is not going to be easy. Both those teams really guarded the top two defensive teams in the league, already into that semifinal bracket on one side.
Those two free throws by Glover snap the 9-0 Siena run and ties us up again at 17 apiece. Jermel Jenkins is coming to the game for Iona. Glover guarding out on the perimeter. Brookins went around him and got the ball to Rossiter. But then Rossiter didn't handle the pressure defense well and turns it over.
First turnover so far in the ball game from Siena. As we said, you got to handle some of the double teams that come from Iona. Self deep into the corner, little pirouette, turns it over.
Rashawn Dwight draws the defense. Has got the ball back. Machado to Pelcher. Blocked by Martins, but Glover cleans it up.
Good job by Glover, because that's a play that Pelcher's got to be able to finish. Instead, Glover finishes it up on the offensive glass.
9 points for Glover. Martins spins around Pelcher on the baseline, but a blocking foul is called against the sophomore forward for the Gales.
Pelcher ain't unable to finish, needed to use his left. So Glover right there to clean it up. He pursues the basketball off the offensive glass. Got as good as anybody.
Verdeen, Breeden, and Martins go out for Siena. Mitch Bonaguro gets Anasicki, Wignot, and Jackson back out of the floor.
And basically, these five played most of the ball game in their opening round win against Manhattan. Not a lot of minutes for the Saints off the bench.
This is an Iona team with a roster full of guys who can knock down perimeter shots, including Jermel Jenkins.
And Jenkins, 6th all-time in threes in Iona history. Got to find him outside, as well as finding the likes of Smythe and Dwight. So the 9-0 Siena run is followed by a 7-0 Iona run. Jackson probing for a shot, couldn't get it to fall. That was a big-time rebound, well above the rim by Glover.
Jenkins makes the extra pass to White, to Glover, and as always, right to the rim.
And again, as always, sharing the basketball. Top 10 in the country are the Gales as far as assists go. They average over 17 assists per game. Sharing the basketball, part of this big run. A little late closing out of the zone defense, and Jenkins makes you pay. And then sharing the basketball, getting inside. Nice feed right there from Dwight. And as we said, first couple of times that Glover touched the ball, Doug, you got the sense that he was coming with a ton of energy to start things off. He was really quick off his feet and powerfully attacking that rim.
Well, Iona certainly should be well rested coming in off of the regular season finale last Sunday. Siena played last night. The men's and women's MAAC Golf Championships return to Disney's Magnolia Golf Course in Lake Buena Vista, Florida, April 29th through May 1st. For more information, log on to MAACsports.com. Now, Rob, this has certainly been a game of runs. Iona had a 6-0 run, followed by a 9-0 Siena run to give the Saints a 17-15 lead, and that's been answered immediately by 9 straight points rattled off by Iona, and so the Gales back up by 7. Wignot had it taken away. Here comes Rashawn Dwight. Wignot blocks the shot.
A great recovery to get back into play.
Glover from the outside. Rodriguez battling the guys in green shirts. And here comes Brookins. Nice job to go to the other side of the rim to lay it in.
Oh, that was a great catch. You saw his speed in the open floor to track it down. And then, as you said, good job to come to the other side of the rim and use the rim as a shield to be able to keep the defender from blocking that shot.
First 2 points of the night for the freshman out of Roman Catholic High School in Philadelphia.
You see Glover catches it on the perimeter. They play off him. Smart defensive play by Rossiter. You saw Glover as he missed that last 15-footer. It's a little bit beyond his range, so now he's going to go driving. You see him saying, I know, got a little carried away here. So you play off and you just kind of guard inside. You move your feet, chest to chest, pick up the charge.
Yeah, one of the differences between these two MAAC heavyweights is that Rossiter's got a little more range on that jump shot. Glover's more 10 feet and in, where Rossiter can stretch out comfortably to 17, 18 feet.
Yeah, no question. Glover's a guy with a little bit more power and lift inside the paint to attack the rim, but certainly the skills of Rossiter out on the perimeter a little bit different.
And here comes another Siena run.
Back and forth and back and forth.
Rakeem Brookins, a high-energy type of player. Consecutive buckets, and now he comes up with a turnover. Jackson never really got that going. No numbers. He was the only green shirt in the front court going 1-on-3. His teammates left him hanging out to dry. And we head to break. Mitch Bonaguro's Siena Saints, the 3-time defending champs, down 3.
For over 20 years, Outback Steakhouse has proudly supported our troops. Now, we invite you to join us. Come into Outback and order off our limited-time red, white, and bloomin' menu, featuring delicious new dishes and classic favorites starting at just $9.99. And you'll help us donate up to $1 million to Operation Homefront, an organization that provides support to our troops and their families. Outback, welcome home.
Someone, possibly you, pays for the electricity that powers this screen. Would you like to pay less? You have a choice. Spark Energy is here to save you money on electricity. It's the same power over the same lines, but with lower prices. Visit us online at sparkenergy.com/TV, where it's easy to switch and learn how Spark Energy gives back to your community, because we empower what matters.
When you sign up for Spark Energy, everybody wins. You get affordable electricity. Your favorite MAAC member college gets a portion of your bill. Support their programs at no additional cost to you. Go to sparkenergy.com/MAAC and choose your favorite college. Spark Energy, empower what matters. Hey, MAAC fans, don't miss any MAAC fans. Check out www.maacsports.com for all the latest updates in MAAC sport.
The Gales of Iona with a 3-point lead over the Saints of Siena. And Rob Kennedy, let's go inside the play.
Well, we talked about the fact that they share the basketball, and you're going to see it on this possession. All 5 guys are going to touch the basketball. Glover gets it started with the nice outlet, and here's the good unselfish basketball. Reverse it, and then the drive. Freeze it right here as Dwight gets himself into the lane, and once he does, he draws the defenders, unselfishly gives it up. Another assist for Iona, as we said, top 10 in the country as far as assists are concerned, over 17 a game. And that doesn't just happen because Machado is one of the top assist guys in the country. Everybody shares the basketball. That possession showed you.
Well, Iona has 8 made field goals so far tonight and 5 assists. Sean Armand is coming to the game for the Gales. Good-looking freshman who can knock down the shot. He's from Brooklyn. Traveling violation.
Nice pick and roll. Leo Rodriguez unable to come up with a clean catch.
And again, the turnovers continue to be an issue for the Gales.
There's the solid screen. He doesn't take it. Instead gets into the middle. Still has an opportunity to make the play. Rodriguez just can't come up with the catch.
Goes Brookins, trying to dunk it.
I didn't realize Brookins could do that.
That would have been the surprise of the night.
Surprise Bridgeport, huh?
My goodness, yeah. Surprise. See what Bridgeport has to offer Rakeem Brookins.
And he went challenging.
That's your 5'10" point guard.
Going right at Glover.
Yep. And he wasn't that far from getting that down. Well, this has been a first half of runs. Siena scored 9 in a row to take the lead at 17-15. Iona scored the next 9, and Siena scored the last 4. All by Rakeem Brookins, and he almost made it 6-0 on the current run for the Saints.
You got to stop runs. You got to come up with stops. And a sick, you saw no arc on that foul shot. Struggles from the line, 46%. That one never got above the rim. You got to give it a chance.
Nice job by Clarence Jackson to keep the ball alive to his teammate Brookins.
Yep. Give up your body to make sure you save the possession.
Well, he's one of the many seniors who come here to Bridgeport, Connecticut this weekend, hoping their careers don't end here. And this is a group of Siena Saints to a man that has never lost a MAAC tournament game. No basket. Ryan Rossiter wanted the continuation, but they say no. So a non-shooting foul. It'll be Siena basketball on the baseline.
And I really like that set because they got Rossiter into the low post. A lot of times we see him handling the basketball out on the perimeter. And yes, he's got skills, but when you get him touches inside the paint, sitting up, down in the post, you can't guard him. Again, he's handling the basketball out on the perimeter. Got to get him into the paint.
Is that a remnant from things that we've seen when he was the underclassman coming up?
A little bit at times, and the other problem is that when they go high-low, and Asicki can't handle the basketball.
And there's a problem when your point guard penetrates. Someone's got to rotate. Otherwise, Mike Glover's got a clear path to the bucket.
Better get in his way.
And even if you do, he may come over you.
Yep.
13 points for Mike Glover. He's 6'7" junior from the Bronx. Jackson's floater, no. And Asicki up above everybody else.
Yeah, way up above.
Jackson, quick step along the baseline, and he's got a chance for 3.
And he gets that chance for the old-fashioned three-point play because of his ability to knock down threes. So the ball kicks out to the corner. You got to respect it. Defender comes running at him and able to score. Here's Glover coming up with that rebound. Doesn't have to outlet this one as he's got the uncontested dunk up the floor. But here's that ability. If you can make threes, Doug, guys got to rush out at you. You got to close out. And if you're able to do that and draw the defender running out at you, you put them in a tough spot when you are able to drive it by them.
And the fact that Jackson's ankles are healthier now than they've been at any time this year, he's much better suited to be able to drive to the bucket and finish. Siena down 3 with the ball, just over 5 minutes remaining in the first half. There's a double team on Rossiter. Dangerous pass. Brookins tried to spare him the turnover, but couldn't.
Yeah, he was looking for Anasicki to dive down the lane, and if he did, it would have been a good pass, but he saw the play. Anasicki did. That's where you got to face up and make sure that you got the guy diving and cutting to the basketball.
Well, how much can you anticipate on that? You know, if you've got a set or got a feel of what your teammates are supposed to be doing, shouldn't you be able to throw a pass like that?
Yep, it's like a quarterback. Every once in a while you see him, what looks like throwing a bad pass, and you see him talking to the receiver because he cut off his route. That's the same type of situation on that play.
The MAAC and Rider University will host the NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships at the sold-out Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia from March 17th through the 19th. Make sure to stop by the Fan Fest at Lincoln Financial Field during the championships. And for more information, visit ncaa.com/wrestling as Randy DeZouvray misses his first free throw. As you might have guessed from DeZouvray's name, he is French-Canadian from Montreal. Gets the roll on the second foul shot.
And based on that, you'd also guess that he's a 52% foul shooter on those two. That was not quite a shooter's roll.
Well, we've seen probably the 2 worst free throw shooters in this game go to the line in the last couple of minutes. Odi Anasicki as well for Siena. And between the 2 of them, they were 1 for 4.
Rossiter posted up inside. They got to get him the basketball or put it on the rim. Good take by Wignut, because even if he doesn't make that, Rossiter's in a position to offensive rebound.
Half a dozen points for Wignut, the junior out of Holy Redeemer High School in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Kyle Smythe with Brookins right in his grill.
Wow, and I'll tell you what, talk about some confidence. He came right off that. Never hesitate.
Breeden lost it, but the Gales with Dwight missed the layup. Dwight again. Second time around the charm.
But how about that save by Smythe? A save and assist by just giving up his body. Great hustle.
Brookins off the bounce. Got it.
Well, we got some offense going here in this ball game.
Not a lot of defense there. DeZouvray, no green shirts keeping up with him. And Mitch Bonaguro not happy at all.
As you said, a lot of offense going, but a lack of defense at times. Oh, Wignut with a good drive right here, goes right by Glover. And even if he doesn't score it, Rossiter's there to clean it up. But then they don't get back defensively. So you get a fast break opportunity, even though they don't score it. What a great play and hustle by Smythe right there, not only to save the basketball, but an assist to his teammate.
Well, Rob, my high school coach used to call it the 2-point trot. You'd be happy that you just scored 2 points, you trot back up floor, and invariably you get beat by the opposition, and that's exactly what happened and why Mitch Bonaguro was so incensed. It looked like he was venting most particularly at Jonathan Breeden. But Kyle Smythe with that terrific save, making Siena pay and building the lead back up to 7.
And if you're Siena, you got to know that Iona wants to come in transition. It's like last year, last couple of years, every time Siena, if the opposing team scored, here came Ronald Moore right up your back. That's exactly what Iona wants to do out in transition as well.
Well, last year, Siena had the nation's leader in assists in Ronald Moore. This year, Scott Machado has been the nation's leader. He's got the ball now. He's at number 3 in the NCAA at the time.
And Asicki got a piece of it, then headed up the other way. He thought they had a steal. You got to secure the basketball before you start heading into the other direction.
Foul on Wignot as Iona, thanks to Mike Glover, has its largest lead of the night. Glover with 15, Iona's lead 36-27.
Kate could not have been happier.
And she told me it was the best day of her life. Well, I placed her in a limousine for the ride home. There was a drunk driver. He drove straight into us, and I could hear my wife screaming.
I was looking on the floor for Kate to make sure that she was okay. Her head had been torn from her body.
Every time you get behind the wheel drunk, you put all of us at risk. Could you live with yourself if you murdered my daughter?
As your love has evolved, so have your gifts. From I like you, I really like you. I love you. I will always love you. And sometimes a gift says you mean more to me than anything else in the world. Life insurance from New York Life ensures your loved ones will always be taken care of. With 166 years of financial strength, it's the most selfless gift you can give. New York Life, the company you keep.
Iona with a 9-point lead over Siena in our men's quarterfinal of the 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Championships presented by Pepsi Max. And now we revisit our surprise. It's Bridgeport Star Watch.
And that was the very first possession of the ball game, able to punch it inside to Glover. He's had good energy. Ryan Rossiter as well has been able to score it. These two guys have been going head-to-head in the post, showing you why they're two of the best players in the MAAC. Two guys that probably ended up 1-2 maybe in a voting for Player of the Year with the type of numbers that they've put up throughout this season.
There you see Optimus shaved into his hair on the left side of his head. That is the nickname. He goes by Optimus Prime. Mike Glover originally signed with Seton Hall. Never got onto the floor for Bobby Gonzalez and the Pirates. And wound up, after a long journey, winding up at Iona. Bad turnover for Siena in the backcourt.
That's an unforced error. You see Rossiter's rebounding numbers, but he's not been as active on the backboards here in this first half.
Do you think that's something that Ryan's not doing, or it's something Iona is doing against him?
I tell you what, Iona's converting just about all their baskets inside. So he hasn't had as many defensive rebounding opportunities. And on the other side, he's been out on the perimeter so much, it's hard to come up with offensive rebounds when you're handling the basketball out at the three-point line.
Iona shooting at over 60% from the floor and 4 of 5 from beyond the arc. So not a lot of rebounds to be had there.
Little half-court trap. If you get in the middle of the floor, you get good shots.
Wignot high off the glass.
Against the Iona traps, you get one good pass to the middle of the floor, and you're going to have good open looks. It's feast or famine for that trapping defense for Iona. They come up with the steal, fine. If not, they get beat at the back end with some easy baskets.
Scott Machado, DeZoubre from 18, barely nicked the iron.
Yeah, and I don't think that's the shot that you're looking for.
Under 2 minutes remaining, first half. The winner of this ball game will move on to the semis to face the winner of our nightcap between Ryder and Canisius.
It's been a long time since Ryan Rossiter's put the basketball in the post.
Foul against Machado will give Clarence Jackson 3 free throws. And let's go back to the third member of our broadcasting crew, Joe Boylan. Joe?
Joe, just to comment, when you play against a team like Iona, they're just pushing the ball down your throat so much that it really makes it hard to play offense, because they're just going to tire Siena out with their just relentless. It's not so much their defensive pressure, it's their offensive pressure. And easy baskets in a game like this puts a lot more pressure on Siena.
And that's what Siena has done each of the last couple of years, with Ronald Moore taking it out of the basket on makes by the opposition and running it right up your back. And a good point by Joe. Remember, this is an Iona team that's got a ton more depth than does Siena. Mitch Bonagoro has not used his bench very much. The other night, Breeden, Burdine, and Martins, each of them getting limited minutes. 10 minutes for Burdine and 9 for Breeden and just 7 for Martins in a game that went into overtime. So really, their starting 5 logged big numbers last night, and that game finished late.
When you're hoping to win 4 games in 4 days, that's a even tougher part of the equation.
Yep, but what happens, Doug, is you got to win 1 game in 1 day, and so now all of a sudden, when you got yourself in a close ball game, maybe you're a little hesitant going to your bench.
1:05 on the clock. Iona gets the ball back. Here we see Mitch Bonagiro, the former reserve guard at Boston College. Backup point guard back in the early mid-70s. And this is Mitch's second go-round as a head coach here in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. He was a head coach at Fairfield back in the mid-80s. Smythe. Kazuvre runs into a brick wall of green and smartly brings it back out.
Better keep Machado out of the paint. He keeps getting there, you're in trouble.
Well, Kazuvre continues to fire away with confidence, even though he's 0 for 7 on the year, now 0 for 8 from beyond the three-point line.
Yeah, well, okay, confidence. How about reality? Find a better shot than that. It's one thing to be confident. It's another thing to play to your strengths. His strength is energy. Attacking the rim, giving him a little spark. They're not bringing him in for offense. They got plenty of guys that can shoot the ball way better than him.
7 seconds to go in the half. Rossiter with a full head of steam, but he's called for the offensive foul.
And because he was coming from so far out, that's when you get that charge call. He's covering so much ground, he took off basically almost from outside the three-point line to go get the catch and finish.
And so smart for Ryan Rossiter. He recognized that he had 2 personal fouls, and he yells to the Siena bench, "Get me out of here," with 6 seconds to go in the half.
And you got to be careful, because nobody picks up more charges than Kyle Smythe. He gives up his body all the time. You know, you have to know who you're playing against. Smythe's a guy who goes down often, and he gives up his body to pick up the charge. But you're right, great call by Coach Rossiter there to sub himself out.
2 seconds left in the half. Jenkins kicked the ball away, and that'll keep the Gales from getting off a shot. Iona's the number 2 seed. Siena the number 7 seed. And even though the Saints are the 3-time defending champs in this tournament, Mike Glover and the Gales have had the upper hand on top 37-31. Coming up at halftime, we'll have a chat with Iona head coach Tim Cluse, as he's had a very successful transition from Division II at CW Post this year to Division I at Iona College. And of course, our news and notes from around the MAAC championships and our first half highlights and statistics. The MAAC Player of the Year, Ryan Rossiter, down 6 as the Saints and Gales head to the locker room. We'll be back with a MAAC halftime report right after this.
On Blu-ray and DVD.
Join yourself to Is the Name of Love. Barry.
Oh, God.
God can't hear you, Barry.
Love it to you.
There are 2 things in this world. Sexy sex and boring death. I want to grow a beard.
On January 4th.
I had no idea. This was a dinner for extraordinary people.
Find out who's the biggest schmuck.
Your guy is amazing.
When you own Dinner for Schmucks.
Mamma mia, papa pia. Baby got the diarrhea. Hey, Tim!
In stores now. On Blu-ray and DVD.
This aisle isn't big enough for 2 zeros.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Is that all you got?
Yes, I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these. Pepsi Max, too much taste to be called a zero.
Please welcome the Siena.
We're back in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Halftime of quarterfinal number 3 of the 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Championship presented by Pepsi Max. Iona with a 6-point lead over Siena. And let's take a look at the 2010-2011 MAAC Championship winners so far, including women's soccer. Congratulations to the Siena Saints. And women's and men's cross country. No surprise that the Iona Gales set the pace in that sport again this year. And now let's take a look at the upcoming MAAC Championships. And that's highlighted by men's and women's rowing April 17th in West Windsor, New Jersey. And then a real treat as the MAAC Tennis Championships come to the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in Flushing, New York, April 20th and the 21st. For more information, log on to MAACsports.com. When we come back, a conversation with the first-year head coach of the Iona Gales, Tim Cluse.
There's a place you can be on the beach during the day, or hear a live band late into the night. A place where you can do some indoor shopping, or do some outdoor eating. It's where creative thinkers go, and forward thinkers have their businesses. A place where kids can appreciate animals, and adults can appreciate music. Is it New York? Boston? Philadelphia? No, but it's a place you may have heard of. It's a place called Bridgeport, Connecticut. Surprise, it's Bridgeport.
Back in Bridgeport, Connecticut, Iona with a 6-point lead at the half. And recently we sat down and talked to the first-year head coach of the Iona Gales, Tim Cluse, and asked him about his expectations for making the jump from Division II to Division I.
Unlike most, that was never a dream of mine, to be honest with you. I loved high school. I really just wanted to stay there, and that's why I spent about 20 years there. I wanted to coach my own someday, but some things just happen, and after having done it for a long time and probably tasted about as much success as I could taste at that level, something just said, why don't you just try it, because you're getting a little older, why don't you see if you like it. So my original plan was just to give it 1 year to see if I wanted to coach at that level or not. So I took a junior college job at the last minute and tried it, and I realized that you could have an impact on the lives of players in college, not just high school age people, and competition to me was still competition, and I enjoyed stepping it up a level, and that's kind of what led me to here. And even while I was at Post, I really wasn't thinking of moving forward. Just that so many opportunities opened up in the area that somebody said to me, why don't you just throw a resume out? You've never done that. And I said, you know what, I'll throw one at Iona and just see what happens. And sure enough, Pat Lyons called me, which I didn't expect, and we sat down and met, and everything went really well. And it kind of was a whirlwind. I really wasn't looking for it, and I really wasn't expecting it. But I'm forever grateful to have gotten this opportunity, and I'm thrilled to be here.
What's been the greatest challenge moving up to Division I?
I think getting used to the level of competition and the coaches that are in this and their style of play. The recruiting obviously is always is more of a challenge at this level, because you're not just competing within your MAAC league, you're competing against all the Division I coaches. Because I'll be honest with the players, I go out and say, I want that player. Well, I find out he's going to Kentucky, North Carolina. So my sights are probably a little higher than most coming into this position. I guess being spoiled by coaching very good players in high school, and even at Division II level, I had really good players. So I'm trying to make that adjustment of finding the talent level that fits my style and guys who are hungry, that really want to develop, because I think that's what we need to do at this level, is get guys who are going to develop more and really have a passion for the game of basketball.
And I just want to ask you about your playing days. Take us through high school and then college and then professional basketball. I
was fortunate to play for a great high school coach in Frank Morris. He was tremendous. I played at St. Agnes High School, followed one of my brothers there. I had great freshmen, Dave Rosenthal and Bob Hirschfield, my freshman and JV coach, just passionate about the sport of basketball. And obviously coming from the youngest of 5, so I had 3 brothers and a sister who played before me. All 3 played at St. John's. My sister played in her own right, was a great competitor. So I kind of grew up with competition in my blood, followed them to St. John's. Didn't have a great career there. Didn't go my way, injuries and other things, so I left and went to Hofstra. Finished up as a senior there, played well. We won 19 games that year. Really had a nice time there, and which led me to go over to Australia and play. I came back from there at one point when my brother had gotten sick to come back and help out in that situation. And a little while later on, while I was coaching at St. Mary's, a friend of mine was coaching over in Sweden, and he said, listen, our American just got hurt. You don't start your season for 3 months. Can you come over and play? So I went over for one short period of time over in Sweden and had fun and came back and coached again after that and never left coaching.
We appreciate your time, Coach, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, that's Tim Kloos, the head coach for the Iona Gales, and we'll be right back after this.
Well, we will be back after we give you a little taste of some mascot basketball. The Ryder Bronc, I'm not so sure he's or anybody's going to score. That's a foul. He's a ball hog. He's a ball bronc. It's getting late. Back after this.
This aisle isn't big enough for 2 zeros.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Is that all you got?
I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these.
Snoop! Pepsi Max. Too much taste to be called a 0.
I could smell smoke, and I could taste blood, and I could hear my wife screaming, Katie's dead. Katie's dead.
Every day, I live knowing that she's never coming back.
Our lives were destroyed by the drunk who killed our daughter. We have to live every day with the weight of that crash.
How will I live without Kate?
Could you live with yourself if you murdered my daughter?
We're back at Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. At the half, Iona leads its MAAC quarterfinal over Siena 37-31. Welcome back, everybody. Doug Sherman along with former Division I assistant coach Rob Kennedy. And Mike Glover really was tough for Siena to handle.
16-8 in that first half. And in each of their 2 games earlier this season, he was a load. Had 18 the first game, 22 in the win. So they've not had an answer inside for Mike Glover.
And Ryan Rossiter, the MAAC Player of the Year, the other part of our Star Watch. We take a look at the first half highlights, and they'll both be involved, but Glover really has been the difference so far.
And set the tone right from the get-go. Very first possession, showing you his explosiveness, able to power through to the rim. One of the few times Rossiter got a touch inside the paint. And here's where Glover, again, backing guys in, getting that deep. He's just too hard to guard. Rossiter was forced to come out on the perimeter to knock down some shots because they didn't get him touches sitting inside in the lane.
And there is our update for the Surprise It's Bridgeport Star Watch. And there are the numbers. Rossiter with the 8 points. Not bad. Glover, terrific. 16 points. Very efficient as usual. And attacking the rim at will. Log on to surpriseitsbridgeport.com to learn all that Bridgeport, Connecticut has to offer. Our first half stats brought to you by FYE. Both teams shooting well, pretty well offensively. Siena not knocking down many shots from the perimeter. But still, all things considered, the Saints hanging in there.
Yeah, especially Iona controlling the backboards. That's a big stat. Turnovers, though. Iona 9 turnovers, but Doug, about 7 of those were in the first 8 minutes of that first half. So after they kicked it around earlier, the Iona Gales able to settle in, take better care of the basketball late in that first half.
Well, Siena led briefly, just by 2 at 17-15, but a 9-0 run by the Gales put them back in top. Back with a 6-point lead in the start of the second half after this.
Great seats are now on sale for the 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Men's and Women's Basketball Championships, March 3rd through the 7th at Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. 20 teams, 18 games, 2 champions, and plenty of edge-of-your-seat action. For tickets, go online to MAACsports.com, Ticketmaster.com, or call Ticketmaster at 800-745-3000. The 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships. Every game counts.
Even in the most uncertain times, there are some things we know for sure. There will still be weddings, still be babies, and still be bright futures. That's why New York Life has been helping families plan for the expected and unexpected for 166 years. Backed by the highest ratings for financial strength, we're safe and secure, so you can be too. Give your family the gift of a secure financial future. New York Life, the company you keep.
Welcome back to the 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships, presented by Pepsi Max. We are at Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut, with our score 37-31. These are two of the most successful programs in MAAC basketball history. Iona has won 7 times at the MAAC tournament in 82, 84, 85, 98, 2000, 01, and 06. Siena, meanwhile, is the 3-time defending champ. Rashawn Dwight to start the second half with the easy turnaround shot.
Easy shot because he's moving without the basketball. Gets it to the soft spot against the defense right at the high post.
Wignot off the mark. And Asicki the last to touch. Now, Siena head coach Mitch Bonaguro said earlier this week that his 2 seniors are the backbone of this team, Ryan Rossiter and Clarence Jackson, and they need one or both of them to have a big second half here if the Saints are going to overtake the Gales.
Yeah, I think both of them. I don't think they can cover this ground down 8 without both of them stepping up and giving them good production here in this second half.
Smythe misses. Dwight on the offensive glass. Machado goes right around Jackson and converts.
He's got as good a pull-up jumper as you're going to see. He's got that great body control, and then he's got the size at 6'1" to be able to finish.
That's why his first team all-conference averaged nearly 14 points per game during the regular year. Brookins answers with 2 of his own. Machado, Dwight, and Smythe around the perimeter. Rodriguez at the high post, and Glover working the baseline as he does so well. Iona's the number 2 seed in the home white uniforms. Foul on the rebound after the Brookins miss.
And one of the few offensive rebounding opportunities for Siena. This is a team, the Saints, that really get after it on the glass. Top rebounding team in the MAAC, but Iona's had the better of it on the backboards here so far tonight.
Just like that, Alejo Rodriguez has picked up his 3rd personal foul. Now a foul on Dwight will send Anasicki to the line with a chance for the old-fashioned 3-point play.
And a great bounce pass there by Ryan Rossiter to find Anasicki. Rossiter, good body control. Didn't pick up the charge there. Stopped himself. Great bounce pass.
Those are the good numbers for Odi Anasicki. The not so good number at the free throw line is percentage 46 at the start of play this evening. And his struggles continue. He is 0 for 3 from the stripe.
Got to get some arc on that shot to give it a chance.
Well, there was a stretch during the regular season that he was knocking them down with pretty good regularity, but that has seemed to go away. Chris Pelcher's come back into the game for Iona with Rodriguez having the foul trouble. There's Clarence Jackson, one of those 2 seniors we were talking about, hitting the 3. Timeout Gales. A full timeout as the Saints have drawn back within 3 thanks to a 7-0 run. Clarence Jackson into double figures. He scored 24 last night, looking to heat up tonight.
This aisle isn't big enough for 2 zeros.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Is that all you got?
Yes, I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these.
Pepsi Max. Too much taste to be called a 0.
Dreams are forged. Character is tested. Teams are united. Champions win here. Watch the crowning of new NCAA wrestling champions March 18th and 19th on ESPN and ESPNU in high definition. For information, visit ncaa.com/wrestling.
15 minutes to save you. Complete the center wall and perfection. See how much you can save when you visit Echo.com or your career.
Siena has drawn within 3, rattled off the last 7 points, early second half. If you are between the ages of 6 and 16, make sure to register for the MAAC Bounce to the Arena. It'll take place tomorrow at noon in downtown Bridgeport. Participants will receive a basketball that they'll bounce along a planned route, starting at People's United Bank and finishing at Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard. Participants will also receive admission to the men's semifinal games of the Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships. For more information, log on to MAACsports.com. And we are here at the aforementioned arena along Long Island Sound, along with Joe Boylan, the former Rutgers assistant coach, and former Monmouth assistant coach Rob Kennedy. This is Doug Sherman, and you see the Saints have shown the ability in spurts to score points. That's been a real problem for them at times this year, Rob. But against this Iona defense, they have had multiple runs.
And they've been able to run out. And both teams doing a poor job at times in transition defense. Siena tried to extend the run with the half-court trap. Now settling back into the zone.
Machado leaves for Glover. Right up above the rim for 2.
And he's been able to dribble penetrate against the zone a number of times. And when you do that, you collapse the defense inside into the paint. Whether he's kicking it out to a spot up 3 or that time dumping it off to Glover inside.
18 for Glover to lead all scorers. Brookins up and over Pelcher off the glass.
That's a tough finish. Looked like Derek Needham's finish a couple of times last game.
And another Iona turnover. That's now double figures. 10 Gales turnovers.
Machado getting himself deep into the lane against the zone. Good feed. Good layup right there by the big guy at the rim and Glover. A lot of guys won't dribble penetrate against the zone. Just move the basketball around the perimeter. You got to get yourself into gaps. Force 2 to guard 1. Machado does as good a job of that as anybody.
Tough shot by Brookins.
Tough shot and a bad decision.
And again, quickly the Gales get from one end to the other and put Siena in a tough spot. Wignott commits the foul.
Again, bad shot at one end allows you to run out at the other end. Jay Billis has a great line. Bad shot, what it is an outlet pass that time. So you get a bad shot by Brookins, and what happens? Everybody running out. Nice bounce pass there right off the bounce by Kyle Smythe to find Mike Glover, who has certainly been on fire right from the start here tonight. Maybe a little statement about not winning the MAAC Player of the Year, huh?
Well, if the voting had been done a month ago, he might have won it. Yep. But he has had his numbers tail off down the stretch of the regular season, and perhaps that wound up being a difference maker. 20 points now for Glover. By the way, that foul that just occurred was on Brookins, his second, not on Wignott.
Saints handle the half-court trap. Now Iona matches up, straight man-to-man.
Rossiter's pass deflected away.
And again, Rossiter hanging out on the perimeter way too much for my liking. You got to get the big guy sitting down in the post.
Well, that's not him choosing to do that, right? That's by design.
Yep, and again, Anasicki, they run a lot of high-low, and Anasicki doesn't handle the basketball as well, so it forces Rossiter out on the perimeter maybe a little bit more than you'd like.
Media timeout here in Bridgeport. Iona on top by 5 over Siena. 15:57 on the clock.
On Blu-ray and DVD.
Join yourself to Is the Name of Love.
Barry.
Oh, God.
God can't hear you, Barry.
Oh, too.
There are two things in this world. Sexy sex and boring death. I want to grow a beard.
On January 4th.
I had no idea. This was a dinner for extraordinary people.
Find out who's the biggest schmuck.
Your guy is amazing.
When you own Dinner for Schmucks.
Mamma mia, papa pia. Baby got the diarrhea. Hey, Tim!
In stores now on Blu-ray and DVD.
As your love has evolved, so have your gifts. From I like you, I really like you. I love you. I will always love you. And sometimes a gift says you mean more to me than anything else in the world. Life insurance from New York Life ensures your loved ones will always be taken care of. With 166 years of financial strength, it's the most selfless gift you can give. New York Life, the company you keep.
Iona 45, Siena 40, and let's go inside the play with Coach Rob Kennedy.
Well, he talked about the fact that you got to ride Ryan Rossiter, and here's an opportunity that they had that they let get away. As we see right here on the ball reversal, now all of a sudden the big guy doesn't get the touch. He's right in here. Here's an opportunity to pound it inside to him. They don't. Look at him jumping up and down, calling for the basketball. Instead, he's got to step out onto the perimeter screen. He steps away, and now you turn the basketball over. When he's sitting and shaping up in the low post, you got to get him the basketball.
You got to find him. He's the MAAC Player of the Year. He's got 8 points so far tonight on 4 of 7 shooting. Only 3 rebounds in 24 minutes. And Siena has really been riding its starting 5. The reserves have yet to score for Siena. They've not gotten a lot of minutes. Meanwhile, Mike Glover just keeps on piling up the points. He's up to 22.
And piling up the rebounds as well. Iona owning the backboards. Glover a big reason. 22 and 9. And we've got a lot of time to play here. One of the things about this Siena Saint team, they've out-rebounded their opponent in all 13 wins, so they've got to get something going on the glass. And Brooken's got to start playing like a point guard. He's taking way too many shots. Ryan Rossiter's not getting enough touches.
You're absolutely right. And what a difference a year makes. You know, what a luxury it was for Ryan Rossiter and the other Siena Saints to have such a prolific point guard and your classic point guard in Ronald Moore. And now you have to make that switch to a freshman who doesn't find you as well. But he needs to look.
Yep, he cannot force things.
Machado calmly knocks down the 3.
And right now, this is an opportunity for Iona, double-digit lead, an opportunity to potentially throw a knockout punch. 7-0 run by the Gale, and it's a quick run. It's in the last minute and a half. Again, Rossiter's got his man pinned. You got to get him the basketball.
Instead, as you showed, now he's got the ball out on the perimeter.
No, he's got to get touches inside, because Glover really doesn't want to guard him inside.
Smythe took it away from Jackson. And then Wignott has whistled for the foul.
The Siena Saints taking on some water right now. Here's the steal. Jackson puts it between his legs, bringing it back into the defender. Smythe goes and attacks. Gets himself an opportunity to the foul line.
4th foul on Owen Wignott. And it sends Kyle Smythe to the free throw line to shoot 2.
Machado doing a good job of just kind of hiding along the baseline after the baseline inbounds. Gets himself a good look.
This is the largest lead of the ball game for the Gales, up to 12. Smythe now into double figures with 10 points.
And on the made foul shot, Iona up in a full court pressure. Again, if you get the ball to the middle of the floor or throw out a top, over top of the first trap, you can score at the back line.
Trinity Burdine has come off the Siena bench to replace Wignott, who is saddled with those 4 fouls.
Got to get a little two-man game going with Jackson and Rossiter.
Here goes Jackson. Offensive foul.
Now they're starting to press. Starting to force things. Jackson turns the corner, but over-penetrates. Credit Pelcher for coming over, giving up some good weak-side defensive rotation, and giving up his body.
Going to clean up some moisture off the floor.
They've got to get a little two-man going with Jackson and Rossiter. If Rossiter screens in for Jackson, now all of a sudden you can't double into the big guy if you throw it in on the post. Instead, he's coming out to high ball screen all the time. What you're doing is you're taking your best interior scorer and taking him out to the perimeter. Let him pin in. Let him pin down on the screen. Jackson comes back out. Get a little two-man action that way, as opposed to bringing him out to the perimeter on all those high ball screens.
Pelcher over Rossiter for 2.
Tell you what, Pelcher continues to play good basketball coming down the stretch. Averages just 3 a game, but those numbers have been going up.
Brookins lost track of Machado, who took the ball away from behind.
Well, they score here, and Mitch has got to get himself a timeout.
13-0 Iona run, and there is the timeout.
Yeah, he tried to see if he could get to the next media timeout. Maybe should have taken that timeout of possession earlier. Well, Iona just getting everything going on the offensive end. Glover not just scored it, but how about the feed to the other big guy? Pelcher with the nice finish, and then dribble penetration will kill you. The Saints have not done a good job of guarding the basketball off the bounce. That time, Dwight able to finish at the rim, and we've seen Machado get there anytime he wants.
In celebration of its 30th anniversary, the MAAC has compiled 30 memorable MAAC moments on Facebook. Check out the MAAC Facebook page at facebook.com/MAACsports to see all 30 moments and tell us what your favorite MAAC moment is. Well, second half, the Gales have really heated up. 8 of 12 from the floor, and they have strung together 13 straight points to reestablish control.
As we said, they've got really good offensive players, and they run really good sets. And when you've got that combination, and when you're a team that really concentrates on the offensive end, that's why they lead the MAAC in scoring at over 79 a game. This is a good offensive team.
Yep, a terrific point guard. He's 3rd in the nation in assists. One of the most athletic power forwards in Glover that you'll have at the MAAC level. And then a roster full of guys who knock down threes, play good defense. It's a tough combination when the Gales are going well, and they are looking for their 8th straight win.
Yep, you're right. That time they tried to force it into Rossiter, so good job coming out of the timeout. But instead of having Jackson be the guy to throw it into the post, so now it's a lot more difficult to double. Instead, it's Burdine, and you can double off of him. It's exactly what Iona did. 2 Gales hanging inside.
Terrific look off the inbound from Brookins to Anasicki.
Well, if you're going to stop a run, anytime you can score on a special like that, it helps. Nice bounce pass right there. Is Anasicki able to get himself an opportunity to finish the three-point play?
Breeden in, Jackson out.
Mitch signaling that they're going to get up in a full court pressure if they can make this foul shot.
And that's a big if for Anasicki, who does get the roll.
And just a little token full court pressure. See, Iona has lived at the foul line. That's because they're throwing it into the post, unlike Siena, who's playing on the perimeter.
Machado into the paint again. And another finish.
Yeah, broken record. Anytime he wants to get to the paint, he's been able to do it off the bounce. That's a bigger, stronger veteran in the junior, just taking a couple of freshman point guards to school here tonight.
Anasicki to the spin, and he gets the bounce.
Yeah, tough finish. Kind of just threw it up against the glass.
Iona has made its last 5 shots. Machado tried to split the double team and nearly lost it.
As we said, Doug, anytime Machado wants to get into the lane, he's been able to do that. You see the reach around by Brookins, gambles and gets beat. You've got to be able to keep him in front of you. And even when you do that, now all of a sudden your job's not done. But if he beats you off the bounce to turn the corner, as he does once again, you're in a heap of trouble.
Yeah, that time it was Breeden who had the assignment and could not keep Machado in front of him. And he gives up the foul.
He's got the double-digit points, the 4 assists, but what he has done, every time the ball's in his hands, he's putting pressure on the defense. Whether it's in transition, running it up the floor, or in their half court, getting himself into the paint.
Smythe for 3.
And as we said, the balance, the ability to score it outside, drive it into lanes, and post it up with Glover. You can see why they're so good offensively.
Multi-threat.
Yep. And it's funny, they were such a good team defensively last year. That was really their staple they could hang their hat on. That's great defense, again, by the guy that gives up his body more than anybody else for the Gales. Kyle Smythe picking up yet another charge.
And that charge goes against Brian Rossiter, who has picked up his 3rd personal foul. Kyle Smythe's doing it at both ends of the floor, drawing charges and knocking down 3s.
This aisle isn't big enough for 2 zeros.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can.
Yes, I can.
No, you can.
Yes, I can.
No, you can.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Is that all you got?
I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these.
Pepsi Max. Too much taste to be called a 0.
Kate could not have been happier.
And she told me it was the best day of her life. Well, I placed her in a limousine for the ride home. There was a drunk driver. He drove straight into us, and I could hear my wife screaming.
I was looking on the floor for Kate to make sure that she was okay. Her head had been torn from her body.
Every time you get behind the wheel drunk, you put all of us at risk. Could you live with yourself if you murdered my daughter?
We're back at the Spark Energy MAAC Championships. Had a couple of women's semifinals this morning. Loyola and Marist advance, and so the 18th ranked Red Foxes will take on the Greyhounds in Monday's 1 o'clock final on ESPNU. And then the men's quarterfinals, we've got 1 game remaining. Our nightcap will pit Canisius against Ryder. The winner of this game will take on the winner of that game in the semifinals tomorrow. Iona's been playing nearly a perfect second half, Rob.
Yeah, 9 of 13 from the floor and just 1 turnover. Talk about offensive efficiency.
Glover blocked by Rossiter. Brookins firing away again, able to find the range.
And even though he finds the range, how about he's got twice as many field goal attempts as Ryan Rossiter does. That is not a recipe for success for the Saints. Even though he makes that shot, he's taken 14 shots to just 7 for Rossiter.
From where I sat, I thought his toe may have been on the line, but they call it a 3. There's a bad pass by Brookins. 3-on-1 Gales, 4-on-1 Gales, and Glover throws it down.
Well, when you're on a 3-on-1 situation and Glover's running with you, forget about the other guy. Kyle Smythe recognizing who's running with him. Machado once again in the lane whenever he wants. Smythe doing a good job towing the line, knocking down the deep shot. Bounce pass to Glover. And Kyle Smythe's a little fired up.
And again, where were the green shirts?
They were back here. They bailed out on that play way too early. You got to run up the floor and finish things off. You got yourself down big, but you got to be able to play through it.
Lob pass to Glover that Pelcher tracks down. Burdine to Jackson, just off his fingertips.
Iona with a ton more energy. Beating them to every loose basketball. Doesn't matter if it's off the backboards, out-rebounding them, running up the floor. Mitch Bonagoro's team looks like the team that played an overtime game late last night. They have not had a lot of energy here this evening.
And again, with a very short bench, that doesn't help to conserve energy. As you talked about, they didn't go very deep on the bench last night. It's been the same case here tonight.
Yep, and so that's one of the things. That's why you got to do well in the regular season. You want that one of those first-round buys. Don't want to have to play in the Friday night game. And as we said, they were taking overtime last night. A lot of guys with a lot of minutes. Iona, big run here in this second half.
Machado, terrific drop-off, easy too for Glover.
And if their guards can't keep him out of the lane, you put so much pressure on your back line. The backcourt of Siena really struggling here tonight.
Now this is an Iona team that lost its first 3 games of the season. Yet they were able to recover. They lost to Kent State, Cleveland State, and Bryant, all at the World Vision Classic. But they have been very good since. Dwight blocked by Martins, and then he gives up the foul.
And a little frustration after that from Rossiter. You can see why he's frustrated. His guards continue to get beaten like a drum. He gives up his body, goes down, looking at the official saying, hey, come on now. Called the charge on me a couple of times. I gave up my body. But he's got to give up his body because the Siena guards have not been able to guard the basketball one-on-one.
No, Ryan Rossiter has done and said all of the right things this year, in spite of the fact that on many nights he's been left out there alone. But perhaps some frustration settling in here as he realizes that his career could come to an end here tonight. Jackson off the glass for 2.
They've got to get him going as well as Rossiter. If they don't get those 2 guys going, they got no chance of coming back in this ball game.
Machado again into the lane, fakes the pass this time and gets his own.
I wonder how many times you've said Machado into the lane. Seems like every possession here in the second half, he's gotten there.
Rossiter over Pelcher, and a chance for 3.
And see, that's why I get him the basketball every once in a while. The guy's pretty good now, you know, averaging 19 points per game, tops in the MAAC. He's been hanging on the perimeter the whole game. One of the few times they found him inside. Even when they find him, it's a bad pass. He's got to go gather and fight through the contact.
4th foul on Pelcher as we take a look at the career numbers. These are up to the minute for Ryan Rossiter. All-time leading rebounder, 3rd in blocks. And he is somebody who has developed in such a way that when Fran McCaffrey and Mitch Bonaguro brought him in from Staten Island, they thought they had a good player. They didn't realize they had an all-time player.
No, and especially the numbers he put up as a freshman, under 2 points per game. So all those terrific numbers you saw were basically in 3 seasons, 3 dominant seasons.
Well, at the start of his sophomore year, they went to the Old Spice Classic, and he showed signs, had a big double-double against Tennessee that he was going to be able to compete at a high level against some of the big boys of college basketball.
And it was interesting going into that year. Fred McCaffrey kept saying, boy, on our trip to Italy, and you go back before his sophomore year, they took a trip over to Italy, and he put up some real big numbers. And he kept saying, hey, Rossiter's a completely different guy than you saw last year. And boy, was he right.
He's put on so much good weight. He's up to 260 pounds on the 6'9" frame. He's a relentlessly hard worker on the floor as well. What a lob pass and finish for Glover.
Oh, that's a tremendous alley-oop. Good screen on the weak side to free him up with the good back screen.
When Machado released the ball, I didn't know who was going to go get it. I didn't realize that Glover was sneaking along the baseline, and neither did Siena.
Yeah, just as long as he's on the floor, it's a good chance he's the guy going to get it. There's your point guard. Instead of settling for a three, finding a three for a teammate.
Foul called on Glover, who enjoys the alley-oop passes of all styles and fashions from that man. Machado to Glover, a broken record again tonight for Iona.
Someone, possibly you, pays for the electricity that powers this screen. Would you like to pay less? You have a choice. Spark Energy is here to save you money on electricity. It's the same power over the same lines, but with lower prices. Visit us online at sparkenergy.com/TV, where it's easy to switch and learn how Spark Energy gives back to your community, because we empower what matters.
Great seats are now on sale for the 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Men's and Women's Basketball Championships, March 3rd through the 7th at Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport, Connecticut. 20 teams, 18 games, 2 champions, and plenty of edge-of-your-seat action. For tickets, go online to MAACsports.com, Ticketmaster.com, or call Ticketmaster at 800-745-3000. The 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships. Every game counts.
The 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships are brought to you by Pepsi Max, 0 calories, maximum Pepsi taste. FYE, strictly for your entertainment. New York Life Insurance Company. Learn more at newyorklife.com. And by the 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships. Buy your tickets today on Ticketmaster.com, MAACsports.com, or by calling 1-800-745-3000. The 2011 Spark Energy MAAC Basketball Championships. Every game counts. Along with Rob Kennedy and Joe Boylan, this is Doug Sherman back in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Iona in complete control of the 3-time defending champs from Siena College. And let's go inside the play with Coach Kennedy.
I'll talk about 2 guys that play well together. Here's the alley-oop. Watch Glover right there. See him kind of just point up. That's all he needed. A little nonverbal communication. And Machado knew exactly what he was talking about. I thought it was a back screen that got him that wide open. Instead, it was the defense turning his head, losing sight of his man. And Glover able to sneak behind him. Just that little point. And Machado knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah, the numbers on Machado tonight, 14 and 7. And it's not like these guys, Machado and Glover, have played together for 4 years. I mean, they just got together late in the summer. And sometimes it clicks, sometimes it works quickly, sometimes you develop it over time. But they seem like they've been playing together for 4 years.
Yep, and both guys have a good feel for the game. And certainly Machado, a guy that's very comfortable giving the basketball up and getting other people involved. 17 assists once again here tonight. That's their season average. They do a great job of sharing the basketball.
And 2 out of every 3 Iona field goals have an assist attached to it. That's a pretty good number.
And when you look at their guys on the perimeter, whether it's Rashawn Dwight, he's a guy that keeps the ball moving. Same thing for Kyle Smythe. Jenkins off the bench. And so when you've got that many guys that get the basketball moving, you get good flow offensively.
Looks like Ryan Rossiter gets up in some pain. This time he gets the call. Foul on Smythe as Rossiter again gives up his body. And what a surprise that Kyle Smythe and Ryan Rossiter would be colliding. They both love to take charges.
Both those guys give up their body, end up on the floor a ton.
Now they change it and say that the foul was on Machado. Siena basketball, under 7 minutes remaining here in the second half. Hand check called against Jermel Jenkins. Iona is over the limit, and so Clarence Jackson will shoot a 1-and-1. Well, free throws have been a problem for the Saints tonight as well. Only 4 out of 9, and Jackson's been part of that problem. Only 2 for 4. MAAC fans, the MAAC is on Facebook. Make sure to catch up on the latest MAAC news by logging on to facebook.com/MAAC Sports. $16 points now for Jackson. That leads Siena. Brookins has 13. Rossiter's got 11. Alejo Rodriguez back into the ball game.
And Rodriguez has been quiet tonight because of the foul trouble, but he's been a huge reason for their 7-game run here. Remember, hottest team in the MAAC coming in, having won their last 7 ball games, and doing nothing to show you that they're about to cool down.
And prior to that 7-game winning streak, looking like an 8-game streak now, they lost 4 in a row. Lost at Canisius, lost at home to Rider, lost at Loyola, and lost at Fairfield. Of course, the schedule can play a big role in that. See, Glover's in pain, holding that right hip area. Now, if you're Tim Kluse at this point, under 6 minutes to go with a big lead, are you thinking, should we rest our big fella and avoid injury so he's good to go tomorrow?
Well, you're probably not thinking that until he goes to the floor and all of a sudden grabs his hip. Then you start saying, all right, well, maybe we need to get him out here for a little bit.
Well, Mike certainly looks like he's in some discomfort, but he's not going to forfeit the free throws.
Statement game from Glover so far, 31-11. He had that stretch early in December where he was putting those numbers up pretty regularly.
Verdeen for 3. Steve Priestley, the 3rd member of the Siena senior class, has come into the game, and I don't know if that's the white flag yet from Mitch Bonaguro, but certainly could signal that. Saying thank you to a reserve who for the last 4 years has done the right things in the classroom and serving as a leader who doesn't get a lot of minutes on the court. Smythe, a little too strong.
I think I was closer to him than any Siena defender. He had plenty of time to tee that one up.
And we're sitting at center court.
Yeah, and Iona just so much quicker to every loose ball. I don't care if it was on the floor or off the backboard, just a ton more energy from the Gales here tonight. Much quicker to the basketball all game long than have the Saints been.
This is the third time this season Mike Glover has reached 30 points. He scored 39 against Canisius on December 3rd. 2 days later, he went for 30 against Niagara. And tonight he's got 31.
Help, as we said, a statement game. He averaged only 10 points per game over their last 4 ball games, but they were winning, so he didn't have to score it necessarily, especially with the production inside of Alejo Rodriguez, a guy that was putting up real good numbers during that stretch. So they were getting good scoring inside, but it wasn't just from Glover. But with Rodriguez saddled with the foul trouble, Glover's had pretty much anything he's wanted inside tonight.
And Rob, the other part of that equation that you need to commend Glover for is that even though his scoring has gone down, I mean, it has coincided with fewer shots. He's still shooting a pretty good percentage, but he hasn't been forcing things. He hasn't felt the need to overshoot. He does things within the context of what Tim Kluse wants him to do. And so now Glover goes out of the game, and Machado will follow him out. Tim Kluse says, all right, I'm going to ride my 2 horses to the bench, so we've got them for tomorrow.
And there's your answer to your question, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Especially, you may not be thinking about it until Glover all of a sudden came up holding his leg. And you know what? Again, what you're trying to do is win 3 games in 3 nights.
Yep.
And they've got good depth. You got yourself a 24-point lead. Time to get guys out.
And after taking that hard fall, Glover has continued to favor that hip just a bit.
And so a change of roles for these 2 senior classes. For Siena, as we've talked about, looks like this is going to be their first loss ever in the MAAC tournament after going 10-0 to tie the LaSalle teams of 88 through 91. On the other side, for this senior class of Rashawn Dwight and company, Alejo Rodriguez as well, this will be their first win in the MAAC tournament, having lost in each of the last 4 years in their first ball game.
Well, the last time a Siena team lost a MAAC tournament game was here in this building, and the man who just picked up the foul, current player of the year Ryan Rossiter, he was in the building, but he was a high school senior who had already committed to come to Siena. And Rossiter, since he showed up on campus along with Clarence Jackson and Steve Priestley, have not tasted defeat in the MAAC championship tournament until it appears tonight. And whenever you've got a dynasty or a mini dynasty, there are a lot of folks around the league who are going to be happy to see this. And I mean, you understand the fact that Siena's been the dominant team for the last 3 or 4 years. And so this helps to open the door for Iona or for Fairfield or somebody else to step through and be the representative from this conference in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, clear changing of the guard. And it could be one of a number of teams. Obviously, throughout the regular season, Fairfield, the team that won the regular season by 2 games over these Iona Gales, but coming into the tournament, a lot of people thought they may have been the favorite because they were playing their best basketball.
Ryan Rossiter just picked up his 4th personal foul. Iona in complete control.
Even in the most uncertain times, there are some things we know for sure. There will still be weddings, still be babies, and still be bright futures. That's why New York Life has been helping families plan for the expected and unexpected for 166 years. Backed by the highest ratings for financial strength, we're safe and secure, so you can be too. Give your family the gift of a secure financial future. New York Life, the company you keep.
This aisle isn't big enough for 2 zeros.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Is that all you got?
I'm up to my knees in 0 calories. Pepsi to the max, so let's drink all of these.
Pepsi Max. Too much taste to be called a 0.
back in Bridgeport, where Iona certainly seems well on its way to knocking off the 3-time defending champs from Siena College. And let's take a look back at the 3 consecutive MAAC championships for the Siena Saints, starting with Tate Fisher knocking down the 3 and getting a hug from then head coach Fran McCaffrey.
That was a great moment as he stepped up in his senior year, and then Kenny Hasbrook did the same in his senior season. Not only MAAC Player of the Year, but the MVP in the MAAC tournament. And then the trio of seniors getting it done last year. Edwin Ubliz, Alex Franklin, and Ronald Moore. How about the numbers that senior class put up? 4,700 points, 1975 rebounds, over 1,200 assists, and most importantly, 97 wins, the most wins of any class in Siena history.
And Rossiter has certainly done his part to continue that legacy. He is the 3rd straight Siena player to win Conference Player of the Year during the regular season, following Hasbrook and Alex Franklin. But he's not going to have the postseason success without those guys. Picked up a win last night in their first round game, but they've just run out of gas and just not good enough against a superior Iona team here tonight.
And Iona's been so efficient offensively. 57% from the field, 64%, Doug, here in the second half, where they've put on an offensive clinic.
And you see the last 5 years, Siena has been all over it. The last time they lost in the postseason in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference was in this building in 07, and there goes Clarence Jackson and Ryan Rossiter, the 2 primary seniors for Siena. They've been taken out, and the folks who have made the trip from the capital region of New York on their feet and saluting these 2 young men who are so important to that dynasty, which now seems to be over.
So now the question is, which team picks up the mantle? See the emotion leaving the floor, knowing that your college career is over, but also knowing that you've had one heck of a college career. Both those guys, not just a member of the team, but important parts of those championship runs.
Kyle Downey into the ball game. There's Priestley, the other senior. Good for him to get the putback. And there you see Ryan Rossiter trying to choke back the tears. Although, as you mentioned to me last night while we were watching them play, whether or not he ever does get a shot at the NBA, wherever he winds up, Ryan Rossiter is going to make a lot of money for a long time playing professional basketball.
Well, especially he's got, if you're going to make it in the NBA and you're a guy that's maybe a second-round pick, or maybe you're not even going to get drafted, but you're going to be a guy that comes into a free agent camp, you've got to have a specialty. You got to have one thing that you can hang your hat on. His ability to go rebound the basketball gives him a fighting chance. But if he doesn't make it into the NBA, I'll tell you one thing, he'll make a heck of a lot of money playing overseas because of his ability to put up numbers.
Well, at least one coach in this league has been on record for the last several weeks, Jimmy Patsos from Loyola, saying he thinks that Ryan Rossiter will play in the NBA. Time will tell. Chances are he'll wind up at Portsmouth. He'll wind up playing in the Summer League. How much farther beyond that, we will see as the summer turns to fall. But at this point, he's only thinking about the end of his Siena career.
Certainly not the way that he wanted it to end. Siena right now getting blown out by an Iona team that looks like one heck of an offensive juggernaut.
Well, as you mentioned a minute or two ago, now who is going to fill that void? I mean, it certainly looks like Fairfield is that team that is set to take the baton and run with it, but it's no slam dunk that they're going to be cutting down the nets here on their home floor Monday night.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, obviously this Iona team has been really impressive, and our 2 teams coming up in the next ball game. You got a Canisius team that's dangerous with all their seniors, and if they could ever put it together for a run, they've got enough firepower to win 3 games in 3 days. And as well, you've got a Rider team that is the equal of these Iona Gales as far as their offensive efficiency.
Yeah.
So, certainly the last couple of years, there's been an unquestioned favorite coming into the tournament. Siena's been the team that everybody thought was going to win it, and they've been able to do that 3 consecutive years. This year, even though Fairfield won the league by 2 games, you would think, okay, they're the real favorite coming in. I think the brackets have kind of played out to their advantage a little bit. They're in their own building, another advantage. But the way that the teams playing on the other side of the bracket, including the team we saw here tonight with an impressive performance, Iona, not so fast.
Yep. Sean Armand. And then he nearly takes it away from Berdine. Well, let's take a look at our Pepsi Max slam of the game, and for that, we go to Mike Glover in the first half, coming right at you.
Well, you know it's going to be Glover. You just don't know which of the dunks. Was it going to be the alley-oop or that one out in transition? Talk about a statement game. Statement game not only for the Gales, but a statement game for that guy. Michael Glover with some monster numbers.
Just into the ball game, walk-on Stephen Cruz buries the three.
Armand from the same spot.
Armand, a guy that comes in, gives you instant offense. Gale's not going to quite get to the triple-digit mark, but made a good run at it, huh? 94 points for the Gales.
And again, the senior class for Siena seeing its career come to an end.
Oh, Michael Glover had great energy right from the very first possession. He's done it not only posting up inside, but cleaning things up on the offensive glass. He said one of the more powerful power forwards at this level. He's got that great body, and he's got the ability to go fight through contact. No surprise, he's our Pepsi Max player of the game.
At the line, Connor Fenlon, another walk-on, drills a couple of free throws.
Yep, saw his dad, Joe, last night. Terrific high school coach from the state of Florida. Also got a chance to see one of his players, Jay Bowie, in the game prior to us, a player for Marist. So his team got upset, knocked out of the Florida State tournament, so he got up here to catch a couple of games to see his son finish up his career.
Yeah, he was buddies with Fran McCaffrey, the former Siena coach, and that was the relationship that got Connor Fenlon up to Siena College from Tampa, Florida.
Yep, goes back to when Siena was in the NCAA tournament, was down in St. Petersburg, and Joe Fenlon from Tampa Prep came over and watched their practices and got to meet Fran McCaffrey. And now his son Connor, the junior walk-on.
Ryan Rossiter, the MAAC Player of the Year, sees his career end. 94-64, Iona emphatically moves on to the semifinals.
Well, we said the hottest team coming in to the MAAC tournament with 7 straight wins for Tim Kluse's team, now make it 8. And in an impressive fashion, 30-point blowout of the 3-time defending MAAC champions.
I mean, they went back and forth in the first half, and early in the second half, Siena showed signs of being able to hang, but they just flipped a switch. Whether it was Iona just pulling away or Siena running out of gas, the Saints just could not hang.
Yep, combination of both. Too much mucho Machado in the lane. He was there each and every time. And then how about Mike Glover's statement, just a dominant performance inside.
And Tim Kluse just walked in our general direction, and he mouthed to us, good second half.
Yeah,
I would say so.
There you go.
So we will chat with him, and we will chat with our Pepsi Max Player of the Game, Mike Glover. In the meantime, we want to catch you up to date on the tournament brackets. And 3 of our 4 semifinalists are now known. Our brackets sponsored by New York Life. Fairfield and St. Peter's won in the afternoon bracket. Iona is through, and we'll take on the winner of our next game between Ryder and Canisius.
And chalk in our first 3 games, but an interesting matchup coming up between Ryder and Canisius.
Looks like we're all set out there, so we will send it out to the floor. Joe Boylan with the winning head coach.
I'll let you go. No, you're fine.
They will begin in the
All right, Coach, talk about that game. What a performance, the whole game, but the second half especially, offensively.
Yeah, I thought the guys were really efficient offensively. Scott Machado, Mike Glover, and everybody just did a great job sharing the ball, making the right pass, making the extra pass. Kyle Smythe knocked down jumpers. The team looked really good in the second half.
How do you get your team to share the ball like that, that well?
That's what we practice, and that's what we preach since the first day I got there, is about sharing the ball. And I think when we share the ball, we have a great shot at winning.
I've never seen a guard get into the paint so effortlessly and just make great plays, not just scoring, but also passing.
And Scott makes everybody else better. He really sees the floor well. He's got a knack to get in there somehow, some way. He fights his way in, finds his seams to score and dish it off. He's a great player.
And this guy next to you, not a bad finisher.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah, Coach always preached defense, throughout the whole season. So our job was to pretty much eliminate their second chance points, and we did a great job on Rosser today and Jackson today.
You've been there a short time, but you and Scott, you really work very, very well together.
Coach, I brought to be one of the leaders on this team, and me and Scott leading the team on and off the court by example, and we're taking one game at a time tonight.
Well, good luck the rest of the tournament. Look forward to watching you play. Great job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Joe, and thank you, guys, and congratulations on an impressive victory. Glover goes for 31 points, 11 rebounds, and he leads the Iona Gales to their 20th win of the year in a 94-64 victory in the quarterfinal round. Tough night for the three-time defending champs from Siena. The three-year reign comes to an end. Clarence Jackson and Ryan Rossiter see their season and their career finish here tonight.
On Blu-ray and DVD.
Join yourself to Is the Name of Love. Barry.
Oh, God.
God can't hear you, Barry.
Oh, too.
There are two things in this world. Sexy sex and boring death. I want to grow a beard.
On January 4th.
I had no idea. This was a dinner for extraordinary people.
Find out who's the biggest schmuck.
Your guy is amazing.
When you own Dinner for Schmucks.
Mamma mia, papa pia. Baby got the diarrhea. Hey, Tim.
In stores now on Blu-ray and DVD.
It is a Catholic Jesuit university that stimulates the intellect and unleashes potential. It is a university known for its rigorous academic programs, state-of-the-art classrooms, and personalized attention. An experience that prepares students to succeed and to serve others for a more just and peaceful world. An opportunity that will inspire for a lifetime. Tradition, quality, leadership. And we are Canisius College, where leaders are made.
Someone, possibly you, pays for the electricity that powers this screen. Would you like to pay less? You have a choice. Spark Energy is here to save you money on electricity. It's the same power over the same lines, but with lower prices. Visit us online at sparkenergy.com/TV, where it's easy to switch and learn how Spark Energy gives back to your community, because we empower what matters.
At Fairfield University, we explore big questions, complicated ideas, and unlimited possibilities.
In a community of learners representing diverse beliefs, opinions, and experiences.
Actively engaged in a caring, supportive, and fun community.
Our education prepares us to be thoughtful, global citizens, serving the common good.
At Fairfield University, you will get an inspiring education.
For an inspired life.
Back in Bridgeport, Connecticut, where Iona has won by 30. The Gales move on to the MAAC semifinals tomorrow here at Webster Bank Arena at Harbor Yard. And welcome back, everybody, to Bridgeport, Connecticut. Doug Sherman along with Rob Kennedy. Game was close for the most part between the Saints and Gales in the first half, but man, did Iona look terrific in the second half.
Well, that first half was a game of runs. The problem in the second half, there was only one run, an extended run from Iona. This is a team, as we said, is the best team offensively in this league, and they showed you why. They've got great balance, really good offensive players, and then Tim Clues has done a great job of instilling his offensive firepower into what they're trying to do.
And let's show you those highlights from the ball game where, as you said, Rob, Iona just played a terrific ball game all the way around.
They're really efficient. And again, when you've got so many guys that can score the basketball, Machado getting in the lane whenever he wants, but sharing the basketball, Smythe knocking down shots, and they've got that balance. The ability to knock down shots on the perimeter the ability to get out and run and finish with a little authority, and the ability to post up when you got a guy inside like Mike Glover putting up some monster numbers. And not only their offense here tonight, I thought the other thing, Doug, was their ability to defend at times. You know, when you've got a long run like they had in the second half, it's not just all about offense. You got to keep the run by defending. They did that. 3 of 17 for Siena beyond the three-point line. Iona did a good job getting out and challenging shots.
And they did a nice job of getting out and turning those turnovers into points. 20 points off of Siena turnovers, and a lot of that was Mike Glover and Scott Machado. Machado finished with 15 points, 8 assists. Glover with 31 points, his second highest total of the year, along with 11 rebounds.
And the other big stat, just energy. They were so much quicker to the basketball, whether it was off the backboards where they dominated the rebounding, as well as getting out in transition. They were the team that was a lot quicker.
So Iona moves on, and Siena is done, and we saw the emotion from particularly the two big seniors for the Saints, and Clarence Jackson and Ryan Rossiter, the Conference Player of the Year, and it truly is, it feels like, the end of an era in MAAC basketball.
Well, it is. When you've got a team that's dominated the way that Siena has, and then all of a sudden they lose in the quarterfinals by 30, guess what? It is a changing of the guard. Problem is we don't know who's going to be in a position to all of a sudden take the baton. You got a lot of teams that have an opportunity to do that, including Iona, who's incredibly impressive in that ball game.
And there you see Clarence Jackson with a couple of minutes left in the ball game being taken out and breaking down. It's been a disappointing senior year for him. He's had a couple of serious ankle injuries that limited him. He had a terrific game last night in the first round victory over Manhattan, but just never got it going here tonight.
No, they weren't able to get him off, and they weren't able to get enough touches inside for Ryan Rossiter either. Just too much Iona coming at you time and time again, whether it was in transition or in their efficient half-court offense.
So the Saints are done, and there you see Ryan Rossiter finishing up one of the great individual seasons in conference history.
No, the numbers he put up, especially rebounding the basketball, the numbers that'll be hard for anybody to match for a long time coming.
And the last player to do what Rossiter did in terms of leading the league in points and rebounds in a single season, again, was Lionel Simmons, the great Lionel Simmons, who that year was the National Player of the Year back in 1990. Rossiter did what Simmons did back then.
And that's all you got to say. If you're in the same sentence with Lionel Simmons about what you're able to do throughout your season, you know that it was one special season.
No doubt about it. All right, coming up next, our fourth quarterfinal between Elton Frazier and the Canisius Golden Griffins and Justin Robinson and the Rider University Bronx. Check your local listings. We will be here in between games and have that tip-off coming in about 15 minutes from Bridgeport, Connecticut.